In Joel's enormous front yard, we store adjectives that tend to be used with ser. For example, es bueno or son grandes. Today, let's start with the trees. We've learned grande for large or big. Next to the large, grand tree is a tiny tree that's shaped like a cane, which represents that the word for small is pequeño. Although grande and pequeño literally refer to size, these types of words can refer to age instead. For example, when someone refers to a person as grande, they probably mean old, or at least grown up, rather than referring to the person's size. Now, there's another tree that's not very large, but it's extremely tall. This tree has a halt sign at the top, just to remind people not to climb too high in the tree, and Joel's word for tall is alto. So this is another example of a word that means something different when it's in the ser use rather than the estar use. Estar alto means to be high up, but ser alto means to be tall. Let's look at some examples. He's not a very old kid, so this actually uses grande to signify grown up. No es un kid muy grande.
No es un niño muy grande.
She's a very little kid or a very young kid. He's a pretty tall guy. Next, let's go to the wall where we learned bueno. This word is used in many ways, but for now let's talk about how it can be used in two-part sentences like this one. It's nice that you are here, or es bueno que estés aquí. As you can tell, there are two phrases here separated by que. First we have es bueno, and second we have estés aquí. The first sentence uses a normal ser conjugation, and the second is subjunctive. The word bueno in the first phrase comments on the fact that's described by the second phrase. Of course, bueno isn't the only way to comment on a sentence. We could also say it's strange, or it's important, or it's fair. So those are other ways you can comment on a fact. So let's put other words like strange and important in this same scene with bueno. First of all, a toy train has crashed through the wall here. Joel thinks this is very strange, and he says, "It's strange that a train is in my wall." The word for strange is extraño, with a stress on tran, kind of like train. Sitting in one of the cars of this train is a tiny human that taunts Joel. He says, "We humans are better than you bees. Look at us. We invented trains and are good at driving them. We're much more important than you." This word doesn't convince Joel, but he now associates the word important with this human's taunts. The word importante is a cognate that means important, but it stresses the syllable taunt, so importante. Then the human points to the person in the car next to him. He says, "This is my sibling, Taylor. Taylor isn't a human. I'm more important than Taylor." Joel is baffled. How can this taunting guy be siblings with Taylor if Taylor isn't a human? And is Taylor his sister or his brother? He just called Taylor his sibling. So Joel wonders, how is it possible that Taylor is your sibling? The word for possible is posible, with a stress on sib, like sibling. Below the train, some feet are sticking out of the bottom of the cars. Joel doesn't know whose feet they are, but he decides to try to tickle their toes. When he does, they always say, "Hey, that's not fair." Joel doesn't know whose toes these are, but his word for fair, as in it's not fair, is justo, kind of like whose toe. All of these words are connected to the protruding stage. But there's one more word here that's related, but it's in a different place, and the word is cierto. Here's the thing. The window above Joel's stage is cracked, and it's been the cause of nasty drafts for a long time. The air has been blowing in and out of the house for a year, even though he's tried hiring lots of people to fix it. It is now certain to Joel that the window will be drafty for years to come. And to say it's certain, he says, es cierto, kind of like certain, but with a stress on air. This word is in a slightly different place from the other words. This is because it works a little bit differently. Instead of being followed by a subjunctive phrase, it's followed by a simple phrase. For example, to say, it is certain that you're here, you would say, es cierto que estás aquí. So there's no subjunctive involved at all. Each of the following examples uses two phrases separated by que. The phrase after que is subjunctive unless cierto is used. Our primary example is, it's important that she be here. Es importante que ella esté aquí.
Es importante que ella esté aquí.
But we can vary this by changing the word importante to any of the other words in our scene. It's not fair that you be here. No es justo que estés aquí. It's possible that they do it. Es posible que lo hagan. It's strange that he loves her. Es extraño que la quiera. It's certain that we have it. Es cierto que lo tenemos. Now let's go to Joel's front door. Among crusty bachelors like Joel, sometimes gossip is an activity reserved for rocking on the front porch. Front porch talk and gossip are the same thing to Joel. Well, actually, Joel doesn't have a front porch per se, but the path in front of his door does the job. This is where Joel likes to make descriptive statements about other people. First of all, Joel has painted an apple to look like Ser's face. This apple is badly bruised because Joel has stepped on it many times, usually on purpose. Whenever he sees the apple, he says, "Why so serious?" His word for serious is serio, or of course, seria. And this is just a quality that he associates with the woman Sarah. Joel often describes people he doesn't like as too serious. But a stronger, more negative word is malo, which means bad or mean. To represent this, he has a toy monkey holding cymbals and trying to maul the apple with them. On the other side of the path, there's a chicken wearing cowboy boots. Joel is a huge fan of American westerns. They're imported to Joel from planet Earth, and he thinks that they're brilliant. The chicken likes to use the word y'all, which Joel thinks is an ingenious word. I mean, if you think about it, y'all is somewhat equivalent to ustedes, but in English, and Joel thinks that that's kind of smart. Joel often tells the chicken, "You American Westerners are amazing and brilliant." His word for amazing or brilliant is genial. Now, the stress is on yal, but it kind of starts with hen, so genial. Next to the hen is yet another magic lantern, but this one has feet. It runs quickly around to the door and back. Joel says that this little fellow is very energetic and lively. His word for lively is vivo. Joel's front door itself has been subjected to vandalism. Someone scratched a picture of Santa Claus at the top, and lower down they made a picture of the young man whose arms and legs are made of hose. We use these pictures to store the words viejo and joven. All of the words in this scene are commonly used with ser conjugations to talk about people. For example, eres mala means you're mean, and es viejo means he's old. Whenever you use a word from this scene with a ser conjugation, you're describing someone's identity or something about their character. Of course, the words viejo, joven, and vivo are in both scenes, the ser one and the estar one, but they have different senses based on where they are. Here in the ser scene, vivo is a comment about what type of person someone is. He's a lively person. In the other scene, it's just how that person is doing. He's alive. In Spanish, the words viejo and joven are also perceived to have different meanings based on whether you use ser or estar, although the change is somewhat subtle. So here's a sentence example. The king was young and the knight old.
El rey era joven y el caballero viejo.
We can easily change this using our different adjectives. The woman was serious and her friend mean. La mujer era seria y su amiga mala. Or maybe the man was brilliant and his wife very lively. El hombre era genial y su mujer muy viva. So the words near Joel's door typically refer to people, but the words that we learn around the pool are more often used for non-human nouns. We've already learned claro, which means clear, transparent, or even light-colored. We also learned seguro, which means secure or safe. On the near side of the pool is Joel's swimsuit, which, strangely, is made of wood. Joel says that he likes to wear something strong when he swims, just to help protect him from the claws at the bottom of the pool. He refers to this swimsuit as fuerte. So the stress is on wear. So you wear something strong. So the word for strong is fuerte. And this generally means that something is strong or hard physically. On the closer end of the pool are some interesting formations in the cement. Joel has made a lot of money by selling fossils, which are very expensive in Yol. But for him, finding fossils is an extremely easy task because an abundance of fossils can easily be found in the surface of the ground just next to his pool. According to Joel, finding fossils is fácil, which means easy. But something that's not so easy for him is paying the legal fees involved in selling fossils. In Yol, there's a levy for every fossil that's sold, and sometimes Joel neglects to pay this money. So the stack of fees piles up next to his pool because he finds it very difficult to part with his money for these fees. His word for difficult is difícil. So it sounds like the word difficult, but the stress is on fee. Difícil. On the right side of the pool are several pool chairs. The custom in Yol is to have some privacy while lying on a pool chair so that nobody stares awkwardly at you, and so some walls have been built between the chairs. All of these walls are made of equal height, and Joel's word for equal is igual. Now, if you found this lesson's vocabulary overwhelming, you're not alone. There were a lot of words here. But right now, you should be focused on one thing. See if you can remember where every single word is located in the memory palace, and you want to make sure you can pronounce it. So can you go through the locations one by one and remember all of the words that you have in each of these places? We've tried to provide a fairly easy way for you to do this. We actually split the Lesson 9 quiz into 2 parts. The first part is just the vocabulary, and we show you where everything is in the different scenes. And the second part involves the phrases, which we're going to discuss in the next video. So maybe before going to the next video with the phrases, just go ahead and review all the vocabulary and make sure you have it where it's located. Once you think you're pretty solid on that, and you know all of these words, then go on to the next video, and we'll work a little bit more deeply on the phrases and the way that they're used in the dialogue that we're studying.